Good morning. My name is Reverend Ron Card, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you here this morning, not only on my behalf, but on behalf of the Centers for Spiritual Living Carlsbad. I'm just so glad to be here this morning. And I hope that everyone had a really good Thanksgiving. You know, a blind man sat on the steps of a building with his hat at his feet, and he held up a sign that read, "I'm blind, please help me." And there were only a few coins that were in the hat, spare change from, people who had walked by previously. And then this man began to walk up by the blind man. And he reached in his pocket and he took out a few coins and he dropped them in the hat. And then what he did is he took the sign and he turned it around and he wrote some words. And then he put the sign back into the boy's hand so that everyone could see the new words that he had written on the sign. And then soon the hat began to fill up with coins. A lot more people were giving money, to the blind boy. And that afternoon, the man who had changed the sign returned to see how things were going. And the boy, he kind of recognized his footsteps and he asked, "Are you the one that changed my sign this morning?" And the man said, "Yes, I am." And the blind boy said, "Well, what did you write?" And the man said, "I only wrote the truth. I said exactly what you said, but maybe in a little different way. I wrote, 'Today is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it.'" Now both signs spoke the truth, but the first sign simply said that the boy was blind, while the second sign conveyed to everyone walking by how grateful they should be that they could see. Simply put, gratitude, it's a habit. It's a way of looking at the world and all the good things in it with a feeling of appreciation, regardless of whether or not your current situation is to your liking. Sometimes we really have to dig deep. We really have to start recognizing and seeing the things around us to really feel that gratefulness. But this is what I want to talk about this morning. In fact, the name of my talk is An Attitude of Gratitude. For me, gratitude is a heart-centered approach to being at peace with yourself and with all that you have. And when you practice the feeling of gratitude, it attracts even more things to you in your life for which to be grateful. One of the things I really like about our teaching is that we teach that like attracts like. And so if you're thinking angry thoughts, not so good thoughts, vindictive thoughts, you're seeing negative and that's what you're displaying, then that's what you're going to draw in your experience. But when you see the good, when you see the love and the harmony and the peace, when you see the positive, then this is what is reflected back to you. We must remember that life is a reflection of what our thoughts are. It's like looking in a looking glass. A few days ago, we celebrated the day we call Thanksgiving. It's a holiday that is celebrated by all Americans all across the country, and is even celebrated in Canada. It celebrates the story of the Pilgrim's meals with the Native Americans and is reserved as a day to spend with loved ones and for giving thanks. Most families reserve this day with large meals and sometimes with a religious ceremony or a religious service. It shows appreciation for and to return kindness Let me ask you, how was your Thanksgiving Day this year? I know it probably was a little bit different than we normally have Thanksgiving because of all the limitations that we had to really protect ourselves and protect those people that were around us. But I do know I was blessed for having the day. I was blessed for the meal that I had. And I'm blessed because I know that next year it's going to be so much more different. Do you know that practicing gratitude is one of the most reliable methods for increasing contentment and life satisfaction? What it really does, it improves your mood. And it enhances your feeling of optimism, of joy, of pleasure, enthusiasm, and other positive emotion. Gratitude reduces anxiety and depression. So if you are a little depressed, you have a key to be able to move you beyond that depression, to move you more into a gratitude frame, to look and see life a little bit differently. Let me ask you, what are you grateful for? So many times we wait for certain times like Thanksgiving Day to give gratitude, to give our blessings. But this is something that we should be doing all the time. When we get up in the morning, when we move through the day, every day of the year. I am grateful for my wife when she says, it's hot dogs tonight, because she is home with me. Whenever my wife is home with me or we're doing things together, I feel so blessed and so thankful because I know the two of us are safe. For the taxes that I pay, it means that I'm employed. You don't pay more taxes than you make. For that parking spot that I find on the far end of the parking lot, because it means that I am able to walk, that I have the strength to walk, that I have been blessed with transportation, because that's what got me to the store to begin with. I feel blessed and grateful for too much email. Something as simple as that. It means that I have friends who are thinking of me. But like I mentioned a minute ago, gratitude is one of the many positive emotions. It's about focusing on what's good in our lives and being thankful for the things that we have. When was the last time you sat down and maybe just closed your eyes and thought about all the blessings and all the things you have? Gratitude is pausing to notice and appreciate the things that we have taken for granted. And there's so much sometimes we do take for granted. Like having a place to live. Food, clean water, family, friends. And even sometimes something simple as computer access. Maybe even internet. So you can get on the computer and that you can see all the different things a computer or the world has to offer. It's something such as the gift of life, or the air that we breathe. How many times have you ever thanked that you have air to breathe that keeps you sustained? Or maybe something simple like the roof over your head, or your parents who loved and cared for you when you were small, when you were growing up. Every day we should express our gratefulness and not take what we have for granted. Because when we do that, we get more of that in our lives. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago. What we focus on expands. We get more of that. We look into that looking glass and see more of that. Many times we go on with our lives, not only stopping to thinking about everything and everyone was given, but we should also acknowledge the fact that it can also be taken away. So we have to be grateful. That's what anchors it into your life. Thanksgiving should not be the only times to recognize what we are grateful for. We should take moments to thank God for everything and everyone in our lives. Even in the scriptures it said, God first, and then all else. Everything around us, our thoughts, everything that's materialistic, our friends, it's all God. I didn't realize how beneficial gratitude in life was until I began to practice it, more in my life. It helps me stay positive, to look past some of the negative and some of the down things that are happening in life. It helps me to look at life and be more positive. I can smile. I feel good. Two old friends met each other on the street one day. And one looked sad, almost like he was on the verge of tears. And his friend asked, what has the world done to you, my old friend? And the sad fellow, he says, let me tell you, 3 weeks ago, my uncle died and left me $40,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. But you see, 2 weeks ago, a cousin I never knew died and left me $85,000 free and clear. Wow, sounds like to me that you're very, very blessed. You don't understand, he interrupted. Last week, my great aunt passed away. I inherited almost $250,000 from her. Now the man kind of stepped back and was a little confused. He said, then why do you look so glum? And he said, this week, nothing. How many of us do the same thing? We want to skip the being grateful or giving thanks. And we just want more. But the key is to be grateful, to give thanks. Blindly, we keep looking for more. When we are surrounded by so much riches, we are surrounded by so many friends, we are surrounded by so many things that uplift our lives. We tend to forget to be grateful for the small things in life, like someone switching your laundry to the dryer. Or maybe just a little note that someone is thinking about you. I have a gratitude journal. I learned to do and have a gratitude journal several years ago. And it's one of the classes that I took. Each night before I go to bed, I list 5 things to be grateful for. How many of you have something similar to a gratitude journal, or maybe even using a gratitude journal? It's one way to keep those blessings coming up in your lives. With that being said, maybe as a resolution, you can take 1 minute each day, whether it's before you go to bed or when you get up in the morning, and express one thing to be grateful for. And every time you do that, make it something different. Don't repeat. Make it something new and different. You would be surprised at how your life will turn around. How your life will unfold through all this gratitude. It really doesn't seem hard, since there is so much that we have to be grateful for. Even in hard times, we always need the small reminder of gratefulness. This is when the gratitude journal really comes in handy, because you're continually doing it. There are so many benefits in being grateful and practicing gratitude. It will increase your happiness. And you're going to see the world differently. You're going to see the world in more of a positive way. It will swing your mood to be more positive. You'll smile more. Your facial expressions will be lighter. You will be lighter. So much more satisfaction in life. And also, you will have better physical life. You will be healthier. Yeah. You won't feel like there's a weight on your shoulders. Better sleep. You will sleep, how you're supposed to sleep. less fatigue. You know, I used to go around fatigued all the time. And as I began to practice gratitude, being grateful for life, being lighter, living life to its fullest, I'll tell you that has all changed for me, and it can change for you. Now, these are only a few of the positives that you get from being grateful. But you know, there are many places, even in the Bible, even in the scriptures, that say something about an attitude of gratitude. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. And another one in Psalms 118:24. And a lot of us know this one. It is, for this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yes. Yes. This is the life that God had in mind for us. To live life to its fullest, to live it happy, to be blessed, to be light, to be loved, and to give love. You know, one Sunday, a pastor, he told his congregation that the church needed some extra money. And he asked the people to prayerfully consider giving a little extra in the offering plate when it was passed around. And he said also that whoever gave the most would be able to pick out 3 hymns. After the offering plate was passed, the pastor, he kind of glanced down and he noticed that someone had placed a $1,000 bill in the collection plate. And he was just so ecstatic, so excited, that he immediately shared the joy with his congregation. He said he would like to personally thank the person who placed the money into the collection plate. A very quiet, elderly, saintly lady, all the way in the back of the room. She raised her hand, and the pastor asked her to come up in front and stand beside her. And slowly she made her way to the pastor, and he told her how wonderful it was that she had given so much. And in gratitude, he asked her to pick out 3 hymns. Her eyes just brightened right up. And she looked over the congregation. And she pointed to 3 handsome men in the building and said, I'll take him, him, and him. So remember, when life seems full of trouble, when all you see is problems, when you feel that life is casting a dark shadow over your life, remember, you have the power to change that. You have the power to turn the tables. You have the power to look at life differently. And it's called having an attitude of gratitude. I want to thank you, and I hope that everyone had a really good Thanksgiving as we move on to the holidays and on into Christmas. Namaste. Thank you.